All right, so I get this question a lot. Should your knees pass your feet when you squat? That is something I hear about all the time. Sometimes you'll hear trainers say, oh, don't let your knees pass your feet. But it comes down to one thing. This is where context really matters. How good is your ankle mobility? And then what type of squat are you doing? Are you doing a high bar or a low bar squat? Now, if your knees weren't meant to pass your feet, we wouldn't have movements like the sissy squat. So the sissy squat is literally here. You come forward with the knees, you lean back, they're already passed, and then you come up and you really work your quads. We would have never created those movements if it wasn't possible. So if you saw, my knees are in front of my ankles. Where people struggle is that they don't have the ankle mobility. So when it comes to ankle mobility, it's the ability to be on one knee when you squat, right? And then you're going to come forward. You should be able to pass your knee over your foot. Now, for if you want to measure this out, it's an ankle test. So you put right here a tape measure, and then you go up 5 inches. So you can literally just use your hand if you need to. And you could go forward. If you have 1 to 2 inches, that is not really good ankle mobility. I've had clients who come and they can't even pass their knee over their toe. That's not really good ankle mobility. Now, if you get about 3 to 4 inches in, that's pretty decent ankle mobility. And if you have 5 inches, you're going to be at a really good point. You'll see a lot of Olympic lifters, they have that capability to do that. So when doing those high skilled moves, you really need that ankle mobility. Another reason you may need the ankle mobility is if you have longer limbs. I have shorter limbs, so I don't need that. So I'll do a squat from the side so you can see when I squat, I'm hinging and I'm going straight down. And as I go straight down, my knees are passing my toes. If I didn't have that capability, I would be causing a lot of lower back pain or maybe knee pain. So let's say I squat and I'm going just like this. If I can already feel the difference, it's in my knee joint. You really want to be able to push those knees forward. So when you squat, it usually starts to hinge, and then you hit a point where your ankles need to get involved and let you go down. Okay. So that being said, I'm going to show you the difference between a high bar and a low bar squat. And a lot of people are trying high bar squats that don't have the ankle mobility. One's not right, one's not wrong. It's whatever's best for you and your mechanics. So we're gonna start with a high bar, right? So it's gonna be on top of the trap here. You're gonna go over the top. You're gonna go here. It's gonna be at the very top. And yeah, I'm gonna have a hinge with the high bar squat, and then I'm gonna go straight down. My knees go forward and then back up, right? So you'll see my knees on a high bar squat have to go a little bit more forward than if I was to do a low bar squat. Now, if I was to set myself up for a low bar squat, I'm gonna use more of my scapula to judge. It takes a little bit more thoracic spine, but it's more of a hinge movement. And now you're not gonna see my knees really pass my feet. So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna be more of my scapula. It's gonna be more of a, I'm gonna get a little bit wider so I can allow myself to hinge a little bit more. My feet are be turned out just slightly. Then I'm gonna sit back, I'm gonna hinge. You'll notice that my knees don't really come up as much in front of my toes, and then I'm gonna come back all together. So when it comes to a low bar squat, your knees don't have to pass as far, but you need to be able to have to hinge, and you need to be able to use your thoracic spine a little bit more. When it comes to a high bar squat, you need that ankle mobility. The last part is if you are taller and have longer limbs, the ankles become more important. As long as your legs are longer than your torso, which is not my case, you really need that ankle mobility.